Hello everyone and welcome to Teresa's Spot for All Things Art. I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me turn on my light. There we go. That's a little better. So I'm doing a little simple, sorry for the mess, Valentine design right now. So let me turn you guys around and we will get started. These are the colors I am using. I have 2 greens. White, of course, you always need white. I have a bright red, and then I'm using a berry wine or a deep burgundy to shade my red. I also have this like golden yellow. This is moon yellow. This gray blue is skyline, and then magenta for the flowers. Okay? Feel free to use whatever colors you want or have on hand or your favorite colors. It is totally up to you. I have just sketched on 2 little hearts and a key to my heart, Valentine's Day. Okay. I might switch these. This one's bigger. I'll leave this one bigger. Okay, it's fine. Doesn't matter. So that's my background, but I'm going to grab this is a number 12. It's about a 1/2 inch flat. These are my plaid brushes. I use them when I do my one stroke designs. I also love using this folk art. Oh, that's a mess. Let's use this one. This folk art multi-surface paint. It is nice and thick and creamy, and it works the best when I'm doing one stroke. You can use whatever paint you have on hand. However, if you want to get my results, you want to use a really decent brush. I'm not gonna say good brush. These are not, fine artist, really, really expensive brushes. You can get this a value pack at Michaels or at onestroke.com. But you want to use a thicker, heavier bodied paint than a craft paint and a decent brush. And these brushes hold a lot of paint. So I'm going to do what's called a double load. So I put 1 corner in my dark value, 1 corner in my light value. I apply a little bit of pressure to my brush. I want to work the paint up into the bristles. And I want my brush to be neat. I don't want any bedhead. I want it very thin and nice chisel edge, which is this part of the brush. And I want my brush to be neat. I don't want my fibers boinging out everywhere. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is come in here and I'm just going to start adding in a few random, for now, background leaves. This way I'll be able to paint in my hearts and it'll go right over and set the leaves back. You can add the leaves at the end. It's totally up to you. This is just how I am doing it. I feel like then when I come back with my red, I'm going to add some stems there. When I come back with my red, it'll put the leaves to the back and it'll be that much better. So I'm just going, I want my leaves to be in a sort of triangle pattern, and I'm just adding them a little randomly. You can add them exactly where I'm adding them, totally up to you. You can use this design to make a greeting card, or just for fun, or practice, whatever it is that you want. Greeting cards have gotten so expensive, it would be nice to just, make our own, grab some, what do you call it, cardstock, and paint it on. You can use a heart to trace, or you can freehand it yourself, totally up to you. I'm getting over a cold, so excuse me if I sound a little hoarse. Just working on it. So when I do my leaves, then I like to pull a little stem in there. And then I'm going to do a few out to the side here too. And I'm just working in my Bristol board multimedia pad book here. Let me show you. Oh, it's a Canson mixed media pad, and it's a 9x12. I put this plastic in here because if I'm doing a background, I'm going to the edge. It keeps the rest of the edge of the book protected. So that's it. All right, then I'm going to rinse this brush. I use one cup with a little bit, with a drop of soap, and then I use another cup for rinsing. Okay, I'm going to go to a bigger brush. This is a number 16. This is almost about 3/4 inch wide. It'll be easier for me to paint in my hearts with this brush. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to get some red. This is a very bright red. Again, I'm applying a little bit of pressure to my brush. I'm going to get the bristles nice and full and neat. And I'm just going to start base coating in my heart. Now, sometimes when I paint on this Bristol board or this multimedia pad, my paint will tend to dry because the paper really sucks up the moisture. And so I might need a little bit of floating medium, but we're going to wing it for now. Okay, once I get it all base coated in, and you can see I could do this whole thing in red. I like to still paint in sections. I know I have 2 hearts. I still like to paint them in sections. I feel like if you're going to see your paint lines and your strokes, you want to paint each element as its own separate entity. Let's see how nice it looks now that my leaves are coming from the back end. That is not all the leaves that we're going to add. We're going to add some more leaves. We're going to add some flowers. But this gives them a nice opportunity to be set back when we paint our heart over. And again, I'm just coming in here and I'm base coating in my red. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing I did with my greens. I'm going to dip one corner in the red and one corner in my berry wine in this case, and I'm going to work it in. Need a little bit more berry wine. I'm going to work it in. Okay, red, berry wine, work it in. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put my berry wine to the edge, and I'm going to start adding some shading in to the outside perimeter of my heart. Adding the red to my brush just helps my brush flow a little bit. And I'm always keeping that dark color, that berry wine, to the outside of my design. Okay? Do the same thing up here, a little bit up in this spot for the heart that is in the back. And then we're going to do the same thing on the second heart. And this time, this one is in front, so I'm coming completely around, over the heart in the back, and adding in my shading. Put a little something on there, get rid of that. Okay, then we're going to do the other side. Just that little bit of shading adds such a nice touch than just having the one little plain bright red heart. And my paint is starting to get a little bit dry on this paper, so I might put out a little bit of floating medium. You want your brush to move as if it is warm butter. Okay? Fix this down here. There we go. All right. Okay. I'll rinse my brush. And I'm going to go to my liner brush. I'm going to put it in my yellow. And I want to have my arrow coming in like this. Okay. Put a little dip there for where it's going in. And then I'm going to put the ends. What are these, the feathers? Keep them in a little bit. We'll let them dry and then I'll add a little detail to that. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to put in the little slit. Our arrow coming out. And then the arrow. Okay, so that's what we have so far. I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go to base coating in my key. I tend to hop around a lot. I'm going to use this really fun gray-blue right here. I'm just going to paint in the stem here, or the key part to our key. And then paint in the little details. I'm using a liner brush for like this. This is a very small space. You can use like a little tiny 1/4 inch flat brush if you wanted to. Totally up to you. And then the top of the heart. Ordinarily, I would probably also paint some sort of a background if this was going to be a canvas art. But because I'm showing it on here and it's just, you know, a fun piece and it's just for practice, I'm not painting a background. And this way you guys can see what I have going on here because it pops against the white a little bit more than if I had a fancy, fun background going on. Okay, so there's our key. I just want to go over here. I'm going to go in my black, which is starting to dry. And I just want to add in a little bit of shading to my key. I put some black. I mixed it right with my brush that has the blue-gray on it. I didn't clean my brush, and I'm just going in. I'm adding a little bit of shading to some of this. The bottom part of the key, some of it's darker, some of it's lighter, but we do have some nice shading going on in there now. Okay? Now once my, now that my arrow is a little drier, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come in with a little bit of shading where I have my yellow. Not too much. I don't want it to overpower my yellow. But I'm just adding in a little bit of detail and a little bit of shading to the arrow. Okay? And now I'm going to go back to my flat brush. This is the one I started with. This is the number 12. Numbers in brushes are not consistent or regulated. So this is a number 12 in these plaid folk art one-stroke brushes, but it's about a 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to go back to my greens. And now I can see where I may want some other leaves. Some bigger leaves, some smaller leaves, some heart leaves. I love a heart leaf. Let's do one side of a heart leaf. I'm just going to tuck it right in here. And then the other side is in the back. And then we'll add a stem there. Put another one over here. Again, we want to make sure that our brush is nice and smooth and not wonky with stuff sticking out everywhere. And add a few more of these background leaves now, with these filler leaves. Maybe a bigger one down here. And maybe a few more out to this side. Okay. I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to add some flowers to it. I want our green to dry a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to add these very simple rosebuds. All right, let me get my larger brush. I'm going to dry it really well on my rag here. All right, I'm going to go into my, this is magenta. I add a little bit of white to it just to lighten it up a little bit. I don't want to overblend because I want to see a mixture of the magenta and the white. I just don't want to make it a light color. Oops, got that on my letter over there. Sorry. Okay. And then I'm just going to put in some blobs. Literally. Some blobs. Some blobs of flowers. I'm just making these circles. They're not even real circles. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with them. I can go over here on this side because I have a little bit more white on my other side of my brush. And I think that's good. Okay. Then in water, I'm going to go back to my liner brush. And I'm going to just do a series now of comma strokes. I want to get a little bit of water on my brush. So I want when I'm using my liner, I want my paint to be a little bit thinner. I want it to flow a little nicer. I'm going to twirl my brush to get a nice point on it. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start doing just a series of comma strokes on all these blobs that I put in. Commas and apostrophes. So I'm going one way and then I'm going the other way. They overlap, they skip. The less you think about this, honestly, the better. You want to be random and Imperfect, as hard as that is to do, right? Random and imperfect. We got the base in there, and then we're just adding in these commas, okay? I'm going to go to my white. Again, I want to pick up a little bit of water. I'm going to come over here, bring some white out. It's a light pink, and that's good for our next row or our next set of commas and apostrophes. Very random. Going one way and then the other way and working our way into the middle of the flower. Overlapping and just using these little comma strokes. And then I want some nice, I might have to wash my brush, we'll see. Nice, fresh, white ones. If I have to wash my brush, I will. Not too many white, but we want them to be nice and white so they pop. I'm using light pressure. That's why I have my little pointer finger hanging out in the background here. Okay, now I am going to wash my brush. I'm going to go back into my yellow, and I'm going to dab in some yellow with the point of my liner brush for the centers. Again, you can make your flowers any colors you want. You can make them purple, you can make them pink and white. I made them magenta. Totally up to you. Use the colors you have and the colors you like. Okay. And wash that again. I'm going to go back to some of my fresh white. And I'm just going to do a little bit of highlight along my key, along my arrow, up here on my heart, and that's it. There you have it. Let me turn you around. And just a simple little design that you can use for Valentine's Day, for a card, or whatever. Thanks, guys. See you again. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.